Welcome to the Monday Morning Marketing Podcast for all decision makers and action takers. Take it away, Esther.
And welcome back to another episode of the Monday Morning Marketing Podcast. Today we're talking about Coca-Cola and their marketing scheme in 2025. Now, this isn't the first time Coca-Cola have done this, and it's been done different times throughout the world. So we're talking about finding your name on their products. So, have you seen any of these, Melanie? Have you been in the shops recently and seen the names?
I have seen them. I don't seek them, but I have seen them. My kids, they don't really drink as much fizzy pop as they used to. It's not because I stopped them. It's just they just don't get a chance to get to it very often.
Yeah, no, well, I love Coca-Cola. I was always what we call a fat Coke drinker. So that's the pure, unadulterated, none of this Diet Coke stuff.
All right.
But I recently converted to Coke Zero. Now, when I'm visiting family in Mexico, it is Coke, like normal Coca-Cola. Liquid Coke, as they like to call it in Mexico. We'll not go into that one. But my problem with my name, Esther, is that it never shows up in any of these campaigns. It never even shows up. You know, there's other things that you see on social media sometimes where, you know, these people with these names will have great success in whatever year. You're like, no, my name's never on the list. It's not even on the list of people that will have, you know, bad luck. It's never on any list. Nobody ever thinks to add or include Esther in a list. But my kids have more normal names. Now, when I say normal, my youngest is called Owen, and we live on the island of Ireland. And on the island of Ireland, there are 3 ways to spell Owen. He spells it the English way, but there are 2 Irish ways of spelling it. So the other day, we were actually in the Republic of Ireland, and I stopped in a shop. I needed a sugar fix. I needed to be able to drive the 2 hours home. And I went to the Coca-Cola in the fridge and I found his name in Irish. Now, if you're watching the video, you will see it as EOIN. And I really hope it's not backwards because at the minute it's looking backwards to me. But I sought it out. I looked for it. There was a couple of other ones that were at the front that I could see more clearly. There was a friend of mine, her name's Rebecca, and she had one at the very front. And I thought, oh, I could, you know, send her a pic, thinking of you, that sort of thing. And that's what Coca-Cola has done with this campaign. Now, there's other things that, you know, I'm a real avid drinker of Coca-Cola, and they have cans that are like a share box, and they've got mate, they've got buddy, they've got pal, they've got fella, they've got friend, sis, you know, all the like more generic names in the can box. So the other one that I got was fella. Now, my kids have gone through my share box. They're not supposed to drink Coca-Cola. I don't like them. Such a hypocrite. I don't like them drinking Coca-Cola. It's bad for them. I'm long past that. You know, they're athletic. I'm not. But I don't like. Okay, truth time. I don't like sharing. So they have gone through my cans and looked for the ones that they like. So they've looked for pal, mate, bro, because it appeals to them. And that's what Coca-Cola has done so well with this campaign. And they've done it. It's not the first time they did it, about 10 years ago, I want to say. And people were going crazy and looking for their names and sending pictures to their friends. And it's ingenious. I mean, it doesn't take that much extra thought or ink or change of design to add these details in, but it makes people talk about your product like we are today.
Well, one thing I thought I'd do a little bit of research in this particular campaign, and this is the world's longest running marketing campaign. It was launched in 2012 originally, and there is over 1,000 popular first names, nicknames, terms of endearment, and popular phrases like BFF, soulmate, and better half. Obviously, a lot of those would be in the share boxes you were talking about.
Yeah.
and they have a hashtag share a Coke. And I can't imagine anybody, uh, aside from the obvious, that could compete on the same level and do a campaign similar to it without, any real success. But did you know that was the longest marketing campaign in the world?
No, I didn't because, well, I'd seen it in other countries. I'd seen it. So in 2012, we were still living in Mexico and I saw it there.
Because it's a
So,
multinational
yeah.
marketing campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't happen at the same time in each
No.
country. And different countries will have different lists of names. Obviously, like
Yeah.
there's Maria and Jose and things like that out in Spanish speaking countries that we don't really have those names so much here. Although I did see some in a shop the other day in Northern Ireland. They must have imported theirs from Spain. That's all I could think of. Um, but like I said, in Northern Ireland, I could have probably found his name Owen spelt Owen. I may
Mm.
have also found it spelled Eoghan, which is also an option for spelling Owen. I
I'd
mean,
forgotten about that one. Mm.
but I will never find my own. And like I said, I drink Coca-Cola anyway, but I wouldn't have openly shared about this. It's not
Or
something
shared
that you
it.
well, you don't need to. No, I don't share it. I don't share. Um, you know this about me. Uh, but I wouldn't have felt the need to tell people that I drink Coca-Cola unless I had found, my son's name. And he thinks it's cool. He's like, "Oh, it's my bottle." Like, well, actually, it's mine. You need it for research purposes. Um, but having the bottles or finding your friend's name and taking a pic and go, "Hey, I'm having a drink with you," that is genius because
Mm.
then other people will go, "Hey, I want my name on it," and they'll start communicating with Coca-Cola, going, "Hey, why is my name never on it?" And that gives them the user generated content and the information and things to change the name list the next time they bring it out in that particular country. Because, like I said, it's not ongoing all the time. It would get boring if it was. I think it's the fact that they do change up the names and they change up the times that they have it out. And, you know, it's if it had, like you said, it's been ongoing since 2012, but if it had been constantly in our shops in the UK, Ireland, etc., for the last 13 odd years, I think it would just be,
You'd
it's
stop
another
seeing
name.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've said this before. If you keep doing the same thing all the time, people stop seeing it. The relevance is lost. People become complacent, and you hit the nail on the head there. It's all down to user generated content, and a group of people getting together at the weekend, maybe watching a match or something like that, and it's pal, mate, and
Hmm.
BFF and everything else. So I can imagine that would be a really good way to promote the brand as well. But do you think our listeners could do anything similar with their own products or services that would help them use something similar for their own marketing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you look at other brands, big brands like Pandora, that name their bracelets or they name their charms. So if you had, you know which one I'm going to,
I think so.
candles.
Oh, God.
If you had candles, then you could have the name, or you could have, obviously there's ones that say happy birthday or friend and things like that. But you could be more specific and run a competition and say, what's the most popular girl's name in the area? Vote here of what name you would like. And you're getting information, um you're doing market research
Mm.
without having to spend a lot of money on collating all the information and gathering all the information. And again, people will go, "Hey, I want my name on a candle. Can you do a personalized one for me?" And or a bracelet, or can you name this jewelry link after me? Can you name this ring after me? And you end up wearing the Julia ring, or you'll end up wearing you know the Melanie watch and things like that. So yeah, I think a lot of businesses could do it. our businesses of I don't think they could unless we start naming websites after, this design is the Rebecca, and this other design is the Elaine. Like, why would you know?
I wonder what I'd do with mine, because I mean, it's one thing to have products, which you have mentioned, all of them are products, but I'm a service,
Yeah.
so how could we do it?
Yeah, same. I don't think services, unless you would end up naming it as the Melanie approach or the Mary Smith approach. But then you're encroaching on trademark if people have those names,
Especially Mari
especially
Smith.
Mary Smith. We love you, Mary. But it is one of those things that for service based businesses, it is more difficult. But I don't think you need to name your services to be able to stand out.
Okay, so we've agreed that the way Coca-Cola made it identifiable, easy to share, and more personal. So maybe we can look at how we can do something similar with our own products or services. It doesn't have to be quite 1,000 names and special phrases, but it could be something a little more niche, a bit more personal. So
Yeah.
get your thinking caps on and start thinking how you can make it a bit more personal. And as you can see, they don't use any photos. They don't use people in any of them. It's just names.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it can make you think, okay, so that bottle is Esther, because I found a bottle with Esther on it, I bet.
Yeah.
But so
If you
it's not
do, send
me.
me a picture.
But it's not me. So I'm going to tag or share that image to Esther.
Hmm.
So it's just exactly the same when you're trying to reach your own customer avatars and your ideal avatars, and you're not actually speaking to them directly, but it's making people think, I know who this might be of interest to.
Yeah,
So even when you're not actually hitting your mark, somebody will know somebody who is close to it, if not the exact customer avatar you're looking for. And the
exactly.
easier you make that kind of information to share, by share buttons, by ats, whatever, uh, then the better it is for you to get promotion. So,
And
what
we've
was your
talked,
last final words on this, Esther?
well, I was just, before we end, I was just going to add in that I think it's interesting that Coca Cola are still using a hashtag, because we've talked recently about the demise of hashtags.
Yes,
Um, but they must still work, because otherwise large companies wouldn't be using hashtag share a Coke or hashtag. So if they're still working for the big companies, they can still work for the small companies,
agreed.
and use that to your advantage too, even as a service business. Get people to share what they've learnt from you with hashtag, and whatever hashtag you decide to use for your business.
Hmm. And I don't think hashtags are completely dead. I think it's a great campaign name. Gets people behind the brand because it's actually saying the brand name,
Hmm.
and the campaign use as well, which is sharing a Coke.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all the time we have for this week. We hope we've got your minds ticking over. And if you've got any ideas on how you can use the Share a Coke campaign to your business, we'd love to hear from you. And if it's innovative and clever enough, we'll bring you on the podcast. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye bye. Do you think there's Melanies on those list of 1,000 names? Is there a Melanie?
There is.
Mm, you
I've
have to go
actually
look.
bought a Melanie before.
Ah.
It was very confronting.
Did you feel like you were drinking yourself?
Ew.